All right, here we go. Welcome to Coaching 101. I did want to say welcome to those that couldn't make it today and welcome to those that can. Wanted to just give you a warm welcome to the Institute. Today we are going to be covering how coaching is unique and how it's different from other helping professions such as counseling and consulting. We'll be looking at those distinctions. We're also going to be covering how coaches are leaving a positive impact in people's lives and how that shows up. We're also looking at industry trends and standards. And Lauren and I are going to be doing a coaching demonstration today so that you can get a feel for the just the coaching process in general and how it works versus the other modalities. And then finally, we're going to wrap up with Q&A. Some of you that couldn't make it today live did submit questions, so we are excited to get those answered for you. All right. So first, I just wanted to go over just a couple housekeeping tips. We're going to cover a lot of ground, so feel free to write down your questions as we go. And then when we do the Q&A at the end, either the questions will be answered along the way, or that would be the time that we can get those answered for you. If you also want to put a question in the chat, if you are live, that is perfectly fine because we can also get those answered throughout. If there is static on the line, we might mute you, but right now static is low, so that's great. And this recording will be sent to anyone that has registered. Beyond that, it will remain confidential. All the questions are answered specifically for the registrants, and that's it. We are a mission-driven team. So one thing that sets us apart is when you train with us, you have just inherited a success team. So each of us are very passionate about your success as a coach. We all have our own different expertise that we're bringing to the table. So we've got everything from the neurobiology of emotional intelligence to anatomy of peace, and we even cover how to refer out and metaphor. So we really are covering a lot of profound bases. We're also a mission-driven team. So everyone on our team is very passionate about leaving the world a better place than we found it. We see how coaching is really helping shape people's lives in new ways that haven't really been seen before the distinction of coaching came around. I'll explain what I mean by that in a bit. But first, I just wanted to let you know a little bit more about myself. I'm Laurel Elders, the founder and CEO at the Institute. I'm a master certified coach with the ICF. I've been coaching since 2005. I would say that my first coaching class was when I caught the coaching bug. And I originally wanted to become a therapist and decided that coaching was it. It was really the heart of what I wanted to be doing and the level of work that I wanted to be doing with people. So I never looked back after that. What I love about being a professional coach is that I get to get off of a call and I feel energized and inspired, whereas some other professional seats that I've sat in, I didn't always feel that way. I didn't always feel that fulfillment piece, and coaching has opened that door among others. I also love making an income, leaving a positive impact. Both of those are really, really big values to me, is providing for my family and my kids, and also making that positive impact was just a non-negotiable for me personally. And with me today is Lauren Stidham. Lauren is our Dean of Students at the school. So if you take one of our programs, she is going to be your best buddy. Lauren, I wanted to hand it over to you and let you introduce yourself.
Hello, welcome everyone. So I'm actually a graduate from the Institute. I graduated several years back, and now I am a PCC level coach with my own practice called Blueprint to Bloom. My background is in education and sales and business, And several years back, I was in a position where I felt like I was doing well in the industry. I was selling product, but it didn't really feel like it had a lot of meaning and connection to it. And I was searching for something that could create a larger impact in the world. And that is when I was introduced to coaching. And I absolutely loved the empowering piece behind it and how you can watch a client self-generate and create amazing solutions to things. And just like Laurel, I felt like I got hooked into how amazing coaching can be. And so I absolutely love that piece of being a coach, is just being able there to support and empower my clients. And I love supporting and empowering the students at the school as well.
So let's dive right in. Definitions. And this is what sets coaching apart, is the ICF's definition. Lauren, I'll let you go over these.
Yes, so the ICF's definition of coaching is partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. A professional coaching relationship exists when coaching includes a business agreement or contract that defines the responsibilities of each party. So coaching is really a partnership. We honor the client as the expert of his or her life. It's the psychology of human potential, a skill and process that really honors that client. We believe every client is creative, resourceful, and whole, and we partner with them to help them make the progress in the direction they want to go in their lives. A little bit different from counseling and consulting, which frequently show up in the circles. A lot of times with coaching, people aren't always sure, and sometimes they think it's counseling. But counseling is really more of a clinical diagnosis and treatment, focused more on usually healing from the past and trauma. Counselor has the ability to actually diagnose, provide treatment options, sometimes even offer prescriptions if necessary. Someone who would be seeing a counselor isn't always looking forward and about moving forward. A lot of times it's about healing right where they're at. Consulting is the business of giving specialized advice to professionals, typically in financial and business matters, sometimes in health, but really someone would seek out a consultant if they would need an expert. Would you like me to go over this one too, Laurel?
Sure.
So coaching really is best when the client is trying to reach a new goal. They have a potential, there's something in their life, something in their work they're trying to work towards. A lot of times there's an obstacle in their way, maybe some fear showing up. It's really nicely partnered with personal and or professional development. There are life coaches, executive coaches, so many variations in between. But the client is ready to self-actualize. They're going to self-develop. They're going to expand their capacity. They feel capable. They're ready to take action, and they're able to take responsibility. And so when a client is in that stage, coaching is best for them because they can reach new levels that they have created for themselves. And as I was mentioning earlier, counseling is usually best if there's a treatment or diagnosis that's needed. Again, they're kind of focusing more on some emotional healing from the past. Sometimes there's wounds or triggers that are showing up. Typically with counseling, the problem feels bigger than the person. So as they're trying to navigate whatever this obstacle or roadblock is, they don't have the capacity or the ability at that moment to kind of navigate it. And they really need someone who can guide them and help them handle the issue and heal from some of the problems. So that way they are able to move forward and begin to self-generate and feel more empowered. And then consulting is best when there's some information that's missing. So they may require an expert. A business owner may be wanting to figure out certain budgeting goals that they need to have in order to be profitable, or a technical industry might need some specific guidance around what type of technology they should be purchasing in order to best support their staff. Or with health, a lot of times there's a diet plan involved or a workout plan involved. really that information is not within them, so they have to seek an expert to find it. And so consulting is best when there's a problem and they need that information right up front to solve it, and they want some teaching as well. And so hopefully that gives a little bit of a clear distinction between the three different modalities that show up a lot.
On the 3 C's.
The 3 C's.
All right. The 2 journeys to potential. This is a great context to understand the coaching journey and the journey that we take our clients on. So in human potential, there are 2 journeys that we can go on. That first journey to our potential, we can be shown the way. So we might read books, take classes, we might have a mentor or a teacher that we're learning from. So it's more external and we're taking that in, and it's a learning in that leg of the journey. It could also be through counseling. It could be friends and family. It could be spiritual teachings, right? There's a myriad of ways that we can learn from our external world. But yet, that next part of the journey, we reach our potential from going within. It's self-discovered. And that's where coaching comes in. A professional coach is trained to take a client deeper into their own wisdom, their own truths. And I love to say that, we can be the expert of things, right? We can be the expert of processes or, maybe I used to do health education for the Wellness Council of Arizona. I used to, teach classes on how to do a website, things like that. But yet, here's why I think coaching is so profound. We will never, and I usually don't use absolutes because I love possibilities, but we'll never be the expert of someone else's truth. And as a coach, I sit in honor of that. I'm sitting and honoring what's their truth. And I'm the expert in coaching, helping them go through that self-discovered journey. What my personal experience is that with a coach, someone will go twice as far in that self-discovered journey than they may have gone on their own through contemplation, self-reflection, or a spiritual practice. May have, right? The coach holds a very bigger picture and has specific frameworks and even self-assessments that we provide that gets the client to be able to go further than they may have on their own. It is also the only profession that I know of that has the capacity to evoke the wisdom of the client and take the client deeper into their truth versus me giving a truth. Now, we don't leave our wisdom at the door as coaches, right? It's the combination of both. It's the integration of the 2 coming together. But I'll never superimpose anything that I might share on my client. It's how we do it that makes it coaching versus mentoring or guiding or counseling. And so that's where the education and the training comes in to help with those distinctions and to make sure you're taking your client on that second journey and not accidentally keeping them on the first journey. Coaching is a profound approach. It has been around professionally only since 1995. I'll get into a little bit of the history in a moment, but it accomplishes 3 things. This is why we see it as so profound. So the first one is access. So get this, we don't create possibilities. Possibilities already exist. So the question is, do we have access to them? So one example I like to give is if I show up to work and I've got a chip on my shoulder, and when my colleagues ask me questions, I give them short, abrupt answers and I'm shut down. What are the odds? What's the probability that I'm going to get a promotion? Probably low. So if I get coaching and I gain self-awareness and I'm able to get rid of the chip on the shoulder And all of a sudden I'm showing up to work in new ways. I'm showing up supportive, open, curious, and I'm contributing. What are the odds I'm going to gain access to the possibility for promotion then? I may or may not get it, but at least I've increased the probability to access the possibility. That's the realm that coaching dances in. So the second one is activate. Coaching helps us activate possibilities. So there's possibilities exist outside of us, like that promotion, but there's also possibilities that exist inside of us. These we call human virtues. So compassion, grace, connection, those are all human virtues. And once we become aware, we can activate the possibilities within us. This is also something that coaching helps clients do. Sometimes a person will come into coaching with one goal, and all of a sudden they activate a gift they didn't even know existed within them because of the coaching process. So that's another way that coaching can be pretty profound. And the last one is achieve. Coaching is results-based. Coaching helps a client take inspired action. And they've done some research. This study is on the ICF's website. Basically, when the brain is given advice, what they found is that the brain it offloads the information, doesn't really embed. It just offloads it like, okay, there's information coming in. When somebody has ownership over learning or an answer. So when I'm asked a question, I provide my answer and I have ownership over that answer. That embeds in the emotional side of the brain. And the emotional side of the brain was linked to action. So some coaches call this inspired mastery, because coaching, when someone's being coached, they're being asked to go within themselves, locate their own answers, not what we're giving them, but their answers. So there's greater ownership, greater action being taken, and we can track results. So we also teach something unique to our program is we teach how to track ROI, which can be helpful. Some coaches include that in their program. Some coaches don't. It can be helpful if you get a job as a coach somewhere. You can track the progress that your clients have made. All right. So in essence, that is where coaching goes. We take our clients on that second journey. And these are the reasons why coaching is so profound. So now we would like to do a coaching demonstration so that you can experience coaching in real time. All of our coaching demonstrations are impromptu. So true to coaching, I do not know what Lauren's going to work on as the client. Just going to grab some scratch paper to take notes. We do not do role plays. So this is all in the moment. And I also like to set a timer. This is what's called a laser session. So it's a condensed session. A full session can be 45 minutes to an hour. We're going to do 15 minutes with a wrap up. And I do like to set a timer, as Lauren knows, so that I can be fully present and not distracted by time. All right. Hi.
Hello.
Do you have an idea of what you would love to get some support on?
I do. So I have a couple of projects that have been on my to-do list for years, and they sit there every year. And every year around this time, I look at them and I'm like, this is going to be the year I get it done. And I usually don't make any progress. And so I was hoping to be able to make progress this year on both of these projects, essentially.
And you said a couple of projects, both projects, is this two?
Yeah, there's kind of two projects I would say have been on my to-do list now for a couple of years.
And what needs resolved to help you? What do we need to look at and consider?
I think I'm going to need to figure out a way to feel less overwhelmed. Because I think what happens is I look at both of these projects and I just immediately get overwhelmed and I don't feel like tackling them, and I do something else that either feels better or easier. Um, yeah, I guess there's just like some level. It's interesting because I have this desire to do them, but there's also a level of resistance to doing them as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And in our time together today, what would be a good goal to reach around this?
I think figuring out hmm, what I could do to kind of overcome some of these feelings because they're definitely preventing me from making progress, actual, like real progress. And so I feel like if I could have somewhat of a better understanding of how I could overcome this feeling of overwhelm and resistance, then I might actually be able to work on some of these projects.
So is that strategy or a
Yeah, I think strategy around it. Maybe also like a little bit of awareness. So that way when it pops up, I can be like, oh, that's that. Is that, how can I overcome that particular feeling?
right? So you've got two projects you're working on, and you realized year after year they're just not getting touched, and you'd like to locate a strategy and an awareness of how to move forward and make real progress with them.
Yes.
All right, where would you like to begin?
Well, of the projects, they're both house projects. Of the projects, I feel like one of them is easier for me than the other, but the one that's harder is one that's now become like a little bit more of a priority because I purchased some new couches, and so there is going to be a period of time where I have to store my old ones briefly just to either decide what I'm going to do with them, whether I donate them, sell them, whatever. They're going to have to go in the garage. And I know we've talked about the garage before, but there's not room in the garage for the two couches right now. So, although the garage is the more daunting task, the couches are going to have to get there in like the next couple weeks. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to make some progress so that I can move the new couches in. Well, the new couches are getting moved in no matter what. So I'm going to have space for them basically.
So just to clarify, project number one is the garage clearing out.
That's the one that has risen to priority because of the couch situation, but it's the more daunting of the tasks. The other one is my like craft room / store all room. And I've never quite figured out what to do with it since its original purpose is not being used anymore. And I think they kind of go hand in hand because they're both catch-all places. I only just realized that both of them are kind of being used to store things that I'm not quite sure where to put them or what to do with them.
What do you think about that?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is that it probably means it's time to do like an actual like purge of some things. Because if I'm struggling to figure out where some things need to go, that probably means I don't need them.
How do you feel as you say that?
Again, it feels overwhelming. Or like I'm gonna have to make this whole big mess before I can actually get it to where it needs to be, which also feels overwhelming.
So I noticed as you were describing this, there are a couple things that popped up. One was you said, so I can make real progress. Can you share more about the real progress that you're looking for?
So what I've noticed that I do is in the craft room, I just move things around. So like I move them around, but it doesn't actually feel like I've solved the problem because there's still some assorted piles that are organized piles, but like I haven't put them where they need to go, or I'm not even sure where I want to put them. And I realize that in order to do that, I'm going to have to part with some things. And so it's like, it's not real progress. It feels like it's just moving things around, which is the same for the garage. It feels like I've only just moved things around. I haven't actually come up with a solution.
Are there other areas of your life that just moving things around and not coming up with a solution shows up?
Hmm. Probably all of them, but in, different ways. But in particular, I feel like I use that strategy when what happens is I go into the setting and I'm like, I'm going to get some stuff done today. And then I start actually like pulling it apart. And I am like, oh no, this is way more than I can tackle today. So I would imagine that probably happens anytime in my life when I start something that feels too big or like too much all at once.
I noticed in the past, I know we've talked about this and you talked about chunking it down. Where are you at with that?
Maybe part of the moving stuff around has been like the beginning of chunking it down. But now I guess I kind of feel like I've got these little chunks, right? Like I told you about my craft room, like I've started to put things in little chunks, but I don't necessarily know what to do next. Because I feel like in order to move these actual little chunks around, I'm going to have to do a major upheaval. Like pull everything out of the garage and put it all back in again, or pull everything out of my craft room and put it all back in again.
What if everything was okay as is?
Oh, no, I don't like. Just the way things are, just my garage the way it is.
Yep.
Maybe it could be somewhere in the middle. Because, for example, my craft room right now, there's piles on the floor. So ideally, I really don't want to have like a little pile of books here and a little pile of paintbrushes here. Like I need to get the floor cleared off. But I see what you're saying about, or what I think you're trying to say is like the idea that it doesn't have to be like all or nothing. It could be workable.
How's that feeling as you explore that?
Well, that actually kind of makes sense because they're catch-alls. So the things that come and go, like the garage, things come and go out of the garage quite a bit. The craft room, same thing. It's more of like a storage space for books and projects and crafts. Whereas other rooms, like this room, my coaching room, it's got a designation. There's no need for me to, change it as much as like I need to change the other places. So perhaps that's part of it. Like it has to have a feeling of ebb and flow to it.
And you also identified in the beginning that it's I don't know that you used the word odd, but you said I noticed that there's the desire to do this and there's also the resistance. Can you share more about what's in between that?
I think that well, right now, I can close the doors on both things, and nobody needs to know unless they walk through it. And I think that if I actually truly tackle at least the craft room, there is going to be that period of time where I am going to have to like make the big mess. And I think that's where the resistance piece is coming in. Like there's a part of me that knows that the solution involves messiness. And I don't know if I love that. Because it also forces my hand. Because if I really like truly like, for example, pull a bunch of stuff out of my garage, it's got to be done then. Like you can't leave stuff out in the driveway. Like it doesn't work that way. Or if I pull everything out into my main room from my craft room, well, I've got dogs, like they're just going to get in it. So it kind of like sets like that, like, well, nope, as soon as you start down the path, you're committed.
So is that what it might take? Is a committed day or?
Yes. But then I think that's where there's resistance because I'm not looking forward to those days. So then, I'll find other things to do. But yeah, the
Yeah,
garage has, say it again.
have any friends or resources that can help support the process?
Well, I used to have a friend where we would take turns, like once a month. Like I'd go to her house and help her like organize her kitchen because her stuff doesn't matter to me, right? And so I could be a lot more like, let's do this, let's move this, and she would do the same for me, and that was awesome. And she moved to Oregon. So I don't have that anymore. And then yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like this one has to be me. I could have someone supporting me while I'm doing it, but like for sure the craft room has to be me. That's pretty much all my stuff.
Are there friends that could help you locally that you could just say, hey, can you just come sit with me? Or
Well, that's a good idea. Like just to have someone hang out and not necessarily even ask them to help. Maybe just so like I have company. I probably do actually have something like that.
so you talked about awareness and strategy. You identified that you want to purge in the areas, those two areas. And we've explored this a little bit. Where do you feel like you're at now?
Well, I think it was actually helpful for me to kind of realize that they're both catch-alls, which I don't know why I never made that connection before, but now that I see that, now I understand why they are probably always going to kind of be a little bit of a constant project. And I might have had this idea in my head that once I do it, it's done. And that's not the case. It's not going to be the case with either of these rooms. So that actually gives me permission, I think, to be more flexible in how I navigate these things.
What's your relationship to letting go as an Enneagram type 6?
Like letting go of control or letting go of stuff.
Which one would be better to answer?
I have an easier time letting go of stuff than I do of control.
Are any of those dynamics at play here?
There's probably a level of control that shows up around the garage, which might explain why that's the more daunting one for me versus like the craft room, which kind of always is a little project or something I need to pick up. But the garage has always felt more complicated. And I guess I always thought, oh, it's because there's more things in there. But I think it's actually more because I'm gonna have to release some of the control about how I want it to be.
So what are next steps around awareness and strategy?
Well, there's probably things I could focus on in the garage that I can control. Like I was just even sitting here thinking, like, I probably actually could very easily make space for these couches for temporary purposes because there's a bunch of bags in there that have already they're ready to go to Goodwill. Like, literally, all I need to do is load them into the back of my car. That's something I can control. Like, that would take me a shorter period of time. And then I think then I would need to table the garage actually, because I feel like I'd rather switch over to getting the purple room, craft room done first and feel like I made some progress there before I tackle the harder one. It's like opposite of the eat the frog first philosophy. But I find eating the frog first tends not to work for me because then I just do all the things to avoid eating the frog.
Is that your awareness?
Yeah, and maybe actually I need to be less focused on like permanent solutions. Maybe some of these solutions right now are temporary solutions. It feels less daunting when I'm not trying to control, like, okay, this is going to be the time that I organize it and it's going to be perfect and it's going to stay that way going forward. It's like, no, it's not. It's catch-all room. So what can you do right now today that will push you going forward? That's probably going to be temporary anyway, because when you change your mind and want to do a different project or need to store something else, like, you're going to have to change things out again. That's just kind of how those rooms are.
I do acknowledge you for giving yourself some grace.
Yeah, it's a good thing to give. Not easy though.
Yeah. Are there any obstacles that can get in the way that you need to address?
Um, just the resistance piece, which yeah.
What would you like to do with that piece?
We know how they say like the hardest thing to lift at the gym is the door handle or something, like, get right, because then once you get to the gym you're like, I'm here, I'm just going to do all the things. I feel like for me the hardest thing is to say, okay, I'm going to get up, I'm going to set a timer, and I'm going to start. Because once I get started, actually usually I'm fine. I'm like, oh yeah, this is kind of fun, I can figure out where this goes, or I forgot I had this. But it's like I need to figure out a way to get up and set the timer and actually start on it. And originally I was saying I was going to start the timer for an hour, and now I'm thinking that was probably overwhelming too. So maybe I need to say, I'm just going to set the timer for 5 minutes and see what I can get done, and then see how that feels.
Okay. And who would you want to talk to for sitting with or support?
Um, that's a good question. I need to think on that a little bit. I've got a few friends. I could see if maybe they'd be interested. I could reach out to them. Of course, I can always talk to Alex too, but I see him quite a bit. So maybe someone I don't see as much would be more motivating.
Great. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, I think I had a couple realizations here about why I feel like it's so overwhelming, because I have unrealistic expectations, and um even my little ways of overcoming my resistance were still too much. So it's like I have to be more, even like I said, I think saying, oh, I'm going to work on my craft room for an hour on the weekend. What if I just said 5 minutes? I think I would have been more likely to have tackled it if I had said 5 minutes than, setting aside quote unquote an hour.
Right. And may I offer a stretch assignment? Take it or leave it.
Sure.
Right. So one thing that came to mind is asking yourself the question, how can I offer my resistance grace? So if that has any value to you.
I feel like that's another session in itself.
I got something. Is that something you want to journal about until you can bring it into session?
Yeah, I could definitely consider what it would look like. Maybe try some things.
Okay. Play with it.
Yeah, experiments.
Poke at the resistance and see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
All right, so that is an example of a shorter session and how the coach's role is really to help the client get in touch with their truth and help them explore options. So I don't know if you noticed, basically the coach is not overriding with the coach's agenda. They're not hijacking the client. They're honoring whatever's coming up for the client and really following their lead throughout the session. And the training is to listen for cues and languages and things that can help the coach form more powerful questions and explore it. Sometimes that leads to immediate epiphanies and shifts, and other times it plants seeds. The process plants a seed and then maybe awakens something the following week, sometimes months from now. So it's fun, it's creative, and it can go deep. It can also stay on the surface. So this was more what we'd call a transactional session, where we're working on something more logistical versus transformational. Although I did ask a couple questions that were more personalized that could get to that transformational piece, like, is this connected to anything else in your life? Things like that. So typically coaching is a combination of both. So it's not just about the goal setting, it's about how is the client relating to what it is that's going on, how many areas of their life are being impacted. There's a lot more depth that coaches go into. Okay, so next we are going to cover some industry standards. In the coaching world, there are 3 levels of proficiency. We've got ACC, which is level 1, PCC level 2, and MCC level 3. The ACC was developed to help help managers, leaders, or helping professionals gain coaching skills to add coaching to an already existing practice. So maybe that's also consulting. So in other words, the primary modality may not be coaching. So they're just adding the coaching skills and basic frameworks in there. That's the ACC level. The PCC level is the mid-level training that the ICF has identified. And that level was really designed, it's a full complete training. So that level is a robust training that gets you to take a client through an entire coaching program. And a program has a beginning and an end. In other words, there's goals and purposes that are established, and then you walk with the client for 3 to 6 months or sometimes years, right? You can find out. That's the PCC level. And then MCC, Master Certified Coach, is after a coach has been in training and reached the PCC level for so many years, they get additional training, and then they can get level 3 training at that point and go for their master's. ACC is the equivalent of, in the academic world, like having a bachelor's degree. PCC level training in the academic world would be the equivalent of having a master's degree, and MCC would be more of a doctorate level. So those are kind of the equivalencies in the coaching world if we were to compare them to the academic world. Lauren, anything you want to add to that?
I was just going to say that having gone through the program myself and having gone through the PCC program, this one was particularly helpful for me wanting to have my own practice, because I really feel like this program set me up for what to do from beginning all the way till the end, as well as how to maintain the relationship with my clients and how to continue to serve them going forward. So I highly, highly recommend anyone who speaks to me as the Dean of Students when they're looking for, like, which level should I take? Should I do ACC or PCC? I feel like PCC definitely has the most possibility and potential for you, especially if you ever see it in your future of having your own practice, or even wanting to hire yourself out as a contractor to different companies. I feel like that's the program that I typically recommend and find that most students get the most from.
Yeah, even leaders find value in going through the PCC level. The ACC is, definitely designed to add those skills on, but the PCC level does give you a depth of training that the ACC is really setting the solid foundation. The PCC helps with mastery and going deeper. So if that distinction helps. Okay, so now I love questions. So one of my favorite parts is answering questions. So we have some submissions, like I mentioned. One is, what is the most personally satisfying aspect of being a coach for each of you? So I know I spoke to mine earlier that I get off a call feeling energized or just honored to have been of service to somebody's own transformation, and being witness to that is profound. I love that.
I think for me, I kind of mentioned mine as well, the empowerment piece, but there is something so incredibly meaningful when someone shows up to you, stuck as stuck can be, and just in a conversation with them as the coach, you can see that, yes, they have this potential within them. They have these possibilities within them. They can't see them yet, but you can see some of them. And it is so neat to watch them discover them on their own, to really start to plant seeds in their own life, to move around obstacles, to come back to you really excited about what they've done, to have those incredible aha moments in the session. It's, just absolutely, it just feels like you're making such an impact. And then they come back and tell you, oh, well, because I'm doing this now I have a better relationship with my sister. And it's like you see this effect of ripples coming out from this client that you're working with. You're starting to see, oh man, this is like actually impacting more than just her. It's impacting her family. It's impacting how she's handling things at work. And I just love that domino effect that happens when a client shows up ready to work on something, just how powerful of an impact it can create beyond just the work you're doing with the client themselves.
I love that too. I love the emails or messages I get from like spouses. I'm like, thank you so much for everything has shifted. So yeah, I completely agree with that. All right, next question is, what sets your program apart from other programs? So this one, There's quite a bit actually. Um, there are a lot of really good programs out there and it can be overwhelming. So here's some things to look for. And I will say there's also programs that are not as good. We did research in the beginning back in, I think it was around 2010. And we just said, what didn't you like about your coaching program that they could have done differently? And we identified um, that the best program is completely supportive and personalized. So we get to know you. We are accessible. Like I said, if you join a program with us, you actually gain a success team. Every single one of our trainers really is invested in your success. And that's something pretty unique. So we are available and high touch. So you're not going to join a program and all of a sudden be in a pool of people and feel like you're disappearing. So that's one thing. The other thing is that we are the global leaders in our trademark approach, integrative intelligence. No other coaching program out there is teaching the integration models that we teach. That is not found anywhere. So that's another thing that sets us apart. The other thing is if you take our full program, we are so invested in your success that we have a guarantee. We will guarantee that you gain your first 5 clients if that's your goal, or we will walk with you until you do. We are so invested in your success that we want to walk with you until you feel you've gotten there. So we do not leave your side. And as a result of that, we cap our class sizes at 12 in the full program. And we only allow 4 program upgrades so that we can maintain that high touch personalized support that people come to us for. Anything you'd want to add to that one?
Yeah, having been through the program myself and having been through other training programs as well over the years, whether it be for other content or work, one of the things that really stuck out to me about this program is how close I became to the cohort that I was with. I still have relationships with individuals that I went through the program with. One of them I still actually do coach trades with. We coach each other. It's wonderful. And I have been through other trainings where you have great moments with them and you enjoy the training and then the training's over and you leave and you never hear from them again. Or maybe you follow them on Facebook and see what they're doing, but not the case with this program. I really actually have developed some incredibly close friendships and connections that have supported me as I have been navigating through having my own coaching practice. And I think that is super valuable in a world that often feels disconnected today.
That's a really good point. We also have exceptional phasing and instructional design. So we walk you through each phase of learning and we provide a very clear step-by-step process to follow. There's a lot in ICF credentialing and we're with you every single step of the way. So you're not trying to figure it out or go to the ICF's website. We will walk you through everything very carefully. And we'll do it again multiple times if you get stuck. So we're very, very supportive in that way. Next question is, do MDs come through our program? We have a wide variety of people that come through our program. We've had more PhDs come through the program, I would say, than MDs because our programs are smaller. So we have, like I mentioned, we do cap our programs because we want to keep that quality. So MDs going through the program, it's a really good match for any helping professional that wants that integrative approach. So if you are an MD and you're considering what coaching program is the right fit for me, I would say, are you wanting something more whole person? That would be our program. If you're wanting something more goal oriented or just base level, that is not our program. We are a deeper dive program. So that, those are some things to consider as what type of program would be the best fit for you. Let's see, next question. How, speaking to launching a coaching business after certification, actually you don't have to wait. We teach you how to start gaining clients as soon as you're ready within the program. And the reason is because you can start the coaching model and practicing right away. And as soon as you feel ready you can branch out and start taking on practice clients. And some people will start getting paid while they're still in the program. We provide you with again, a very clear step-by-step business blueprint, business launch blueprint to follow. And this part of our support is so important if you're taking on private clients, because marketing your service as a coach nowadays, it's a little different than other modalities. And here's why. People will wake up in the morning and say, oh my gosh, I need to go to the doctor, I'm sick. People will wake up in the morning and say, oh my goodness, I'm really struggling. I'm going to call a therapist. Not many people know that they can wake up and call and hire a coach. So how we market ourselves and our messaging, our languaging, our offers, there's a best practice to connect with your clients, and we teach you that. And the last question is, anything difficult or challenging about becoming a coach? I would say for that one, for me, is it's a peer regulated industry, which means anyone could technically just hang their hat and use the word coach. The word coach can be misunderstood. That is changing. The distinction is still, it's so new. So as I mentioned, the ICF got its start in 1995, and the profession as a whole is still relatively in its infancy, which is an exciting time to be a part of it because it's really expanding pretty rapidly. It's now reached a billion-dollar industry globally, but it can be misunderstood. And so coaches we do our best to, especially ICF coaches, to carry that level of professionalism. ICF has a code of ethics that professional coaches follow as well. And Lauren, I'll let you talk about, if you do find that our approach resonates with you and what we offer and how we and our values resonate with you, we do invite you to explore our programs. We have really great programs, and we're very proud of our programs. We've got Coaching Fundamentals coming up starting January 17th, and I'll let Lauren share with you more about that.
Yes, so the Coaching Fundamentals program is a great way to dab your toe in the water at our institute and really learn a lot of in-depth basics around coaching. So it's a three-class course. It starts January 17th, the 24th, and the 31st. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be sending you an email with a little bit more information on the class in addition to the link to this recording. And we do have a special promotional offer for you for taking the time today and participating in the Coaching 101 class. So be on the lookout for that as well. I am available too if you have additional questions or just want to speak to someone more about the programs. I have office hours set aside to speak to students and prospective students. So if you'd like to schedule a time to speak with me, I would love that. You can also just respond to my email and let me know, and we can figure out a time to talk. But as Laura mentioned earlier, you have a success team, so I am here to help you succeed in choosing what program is best for you. So if you need that, just don't hesitate to reach out. I am available and happy to help.
So much. All right, so final announcement before we hop off. January 15th is our early bird registration deadline. So what that means, if you know you want to become certified, if you apply before the 15th, it doesn't lock you into anything. Just if we receive your application, you qualify for that tuition reduction of $250. And if you're not certain, and you can still get your application in if you just wanted to take Coaching Fundamentals, for example, and just see if the coaching thing is a fit for you, you can still get your application in, and that can still apply down the road. We will absolutely honor that. So, all right, thank you so much. Those of you that are watching the recording and joined, it's been a pleasure, and I hope that this has been really helpful for you. We hope to talk to you soon.
Bye.